Hello and welcome back to the Reset Podcast. Today we're going to go over a few things. This ain't going to be a very long one. First thing I want to talk about today was the cancellation of the Red Dead Redemption 1 remake and the GTA 4 remaster. Rockstar came out and, well, they were rumored, I guess. I should start off by saying they weren't really 100% confirmed or anything like that, but they were the people that revealed it or leaked it or whatever word you want to use. They have now come out and said that these projects are officially canceled or shelved. One of the big names behind this is on Twitter. His name is Tez2 or TezFun2. He kind of broke the story about a few years ago, actually, about them remaking Red Dead Redemption 1 completely to make it kind of sync up better with the story of Red Dead Redemption 2. And apparently the lackluster reviews and critical and I guess the reception overall of Grand Theft Auto the Definitive Edition just made them rethink that whole idea of remastering GTA 4 and then remaking Red Dead Redemption 1. So they just went on to work on Grand Theft Auto 6 is where they moved all their personnel to. That's something that they even said in their own Newswire release. But basically, just to break it down, what they're saying here is that they're even stopping production with Red Dead Redemption Online, which I think is a really big mistake. Not just because, I don't really play it anymore, but it's something different. It's something right now that the gaming world doesn't really have, and that's an old, Wild West shooter online game. It's not something that's really present anywhere else online. So Rockstar just is throwing this out. And I really don't even think it's Rockstar. I talk about this in almost every podcast. I want to say that it's Take-Two. Take-Two Interactive is Rockstar's parent company, and they're messing things up. If I'm being 100% honest, I think that they are just out there for the money, which is, it's kind of their thing. They have to make money. They're a company, but you shouldn't be doing it by sacrificing what a majority of your fans want. I know that a lot of people, especially on Twitter, when I look at anything for Rockstar, anytime they post something, there's always probably 75% of the post referencing the next Grand Theft Auto game. So them moving all the stuff over, they are kind of playing the numbers game by giving people what they want, more so than Red Dead Redemption. So we'll say 75% of them are Grand Theft Auto 6 posts, the other 25% are Red Dead Online or Save Red Dead, hashtag Save Red Dead posts. So they're kind of just putting all their eggs in one basket rather than spreading them out. If it were me, if someone who actually gave a shit about fans and gave a crap about the gaming industry as a whole, they would probably just, keep the team that's currently working on GTA Online, because they're not really doing shit. Let's be honest. There hasn't been an update for Red Dead Redemption Online. There hasn't really been a big update for Grand Theft Auto Online, at least at the time of this recording, which is July 17th at 11 a.m. There hasn't been dick for any Rockstar game. So either they are really all hands on board or all hands on deck or whatever the fuck the saying expression is, but either everybody is all working on GTA 6 as Rockstar is saying, or they're working on something big for GTA Online. But what I would have done is I would have taken the team that's currently working on GTA Online, and the remnants of the team that's working on Red Dead Redemption 2, or Red Dead Redemption Online, excuse me, and I would have them work together. Okay, we're going to release content for both GTA Online, and we're going to release content for Red Dead Redemption Online. And that would be satisfying both parties. Right now, all they're really doing is like XP boosts and things like that. That's not really what people want. But I mean, if this gets us Grand Theft Auto 6 quicker, you know, then maybe it'll be worth it. But at the end of the day, if you look at it, the whole bastardization of video games right now, I don't think Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be the end-all be-all that everybody is wanting it to be. But before we get into that, because that's kind of what I want to close this show out with, is the current climate of video game making and video game development, both from, you know, the fan perspective, but also the dev perspective. But there's some other things I want to talk about here, like for instance, an old school childhood classic, the Goldeneye 007 re-release, or remaster, remake, whatever the fuck the word is they want to use. It's still in limbo, according to journalist Jeff Grubb, Grubb, Grubb. He says that the long-rumored re-release of GoldenEye 007 continues to be held up by the conflict in Ukraine, which I don't know why exactly that would make a difference, but the article is out there. All you gotta do is Google it. The article says that we've been hearing about the re-release of the beloved N64 shooter GoldenEye 007 for a number of months at this point. Actually, it's been years. Rumors started I don't have my glasses on. Rumors started in earnest when Xbox achievements of the re-release were spotted online in January. There has actually been footage of this for a very long time. It's been out there. It's I want to say that it was like an Xbox Live Arcade remaster or remake at one point in time. So it's been out there a lot longer, since just the start of this year. But yeah, basically what it comes down to is, I don't know, resources or something. I don't know what the conflict in Ukraine would have to do. It caused the game release to be delayed internally earlier this year, owing to a strong presence of Soviet Union GoldenEye story. I don't really think that would be that big of a deal. There is, yeah, it's a Cold War kind of Soviet Union story. You are fighting Russians in GoldenEye, but I mean, every fucking 007 movie from the 80s into the 90s, I want to say the Russians were the enemies. So making this game really, or releasing it just because they're Soviet Unions are the bad guys. They're the fucking bad guys in real life. So what difference does it make? Just push the game out. You know, there's no, it's not a viable enough reason, in my opinion, to hold back on it. The thing that I personally have heard why the game isn't releasing yet is the rights to Pierce Brosnan's faces, you know, or his face, and the faces of the other actors. I guess is what I want to say. That's why I got tripped up. But yeah, all their likenesses, I guess, have to be remade or retouched, because none of the actors are allowing their likeness to be used for something. So, I mean, if they're not going to get paid for it, then yeah, why not? But I did see the leaks that everybody else has. I guess if you're following this, there's videos of this on YouTube, and it looks okay. You know, it looks like a heavily modded version of the N64 game, and it's widescreen, native, you know, widescreen. It's not just stretched. So I mean, it does look good, and if it releases, legitimately ever releases, because I really don't think the way it was running, that the video I saw on YouTube of this remaster of Goldeneye was fake, because it looked a little too good, if you know what I mean. But if it releases ever, I'm definitely gonna buy it. And it doesn't matter if the characters look the same or not, because you're not really playing it to play as Pierce Brosnan. It's a 007 game, so they could just, make the guy look like Archer. So that's all I need to do. Black hair, British. There you go. That's pretty basically you're 90% there. But then the next rumor I want to go on to, and also another reporter I want to talk about. But first, the rumor itself is the next Assassin's Creed game is going to be set in Japan. And I mean, I think that would be a really cool idea, but at this point, it's just a rumor. And recent reports claim that the next Assassin's Creed game would allegedly be smaller, and it would be focused more on stealth, where the more modern ones are more focused on combat and parrying and dodging and things like that. I guess it's going to be more focused on stealth this time around. Assassin's Creed Rift, which is like the VR version, is going to have an Aztec setting. But again, and this is a report I'm constantly talking about, or a journalist, I guess I should say. I don't know if the reporter or journalist, if there's some kind of difference between them. But Jason Schreier, or Jason Schreier, I'm going to say Schreier, he keeps coming up in all these game rumors. I don't know how legitimate he is. I mean, I just know that his name keeps coming up in all these articles about these leaks and rumors. And I don't know. I don't know how he's getting this shit. I mean, I don't know if he's paying for it or if he's just like calling in favors. But if these rumors and leaks and shit that he's getting are true, then, I mean, some people are violating their NDA. I could tell you that. But speaking of violations of NDAs, I guess the next thing I'm going to talk about is the Skate Remake. That's coming out here pretty soon. But there's a whole leak on Kotaku talking about like just certain aspects of the game that were leaked from a playtest courtesy of Reddit. There's a map added in called Fun City, not aligned with previous leaks. There's a space store which apparently has a sculpture Saturn. Meanwhile, the map has various bus stops and functions and fast points. So I mean, it's kind of cool the way it goes through it. They said ragdoll physics are back, of course, and they're kind of a bit more exaggerated, like they were in Skate 3. Let's see, what else does it say? Emotes will unsurprisingly make a return. As part of the playtest leak, it has seemingly been confirmed that Skate is built on the Frostbite engine, so that's pretty cool. That's those of you that don't know, the Frostbite engine is the same engine that the Division was made on, and the Division had really beautiful lighting and things like that. So this might be a pretty beautiful skateboarding game. And I haven't actually even gotten the Tony Hawk's remake games. I heard good things about them, but I don't know, man. I mean, it's kind of weird because there's certain games I want remakes for, but then there's other games that, like, the sequels kind of destroyed any hope of me wanting to get back into them. Like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on N64, PlayStation, 1, 2, and 3. Best ones ever. Tony Hawk's Underground with we had a little bit more of a free roam thing. Underground 2 is probably one of the best skating games I've ever played. I can't skate in real life. Tried once, busted my ass cheek, never tried it again. So I do it strictly in video game form. And yeah, I mean, it was always fun, but I tried picking a few up after that, namely the Tony Hawk ones. I tried Skate. Skate was pretty good, but yeah, it just kind of like soured for me. Like there was one, I want to say it was the last Activision title that got released. That was a Tony Hawk game, and the entire game was like not playable from the disc, like or like if you didn't have internet, right, you couldn't play the game day one. Like you had to. The patch was the game. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like they sold the disc in the box, put it out there on the store, but you put the game in the tray of your console, and it was just it wouldn't launch anything. You had to have an internet connection, and you had a day one patch that was like 12 gigabytes. So you're downloading the game basically. They probably had some kind of rudimentary thing, like I don't know what was actually on the disc because, you know, most people have internet nowadays, but I never actually tested. I mean, I guess maybe they had to have something on the disc to make it play. I would think it would be illegal for them to just sell like an update or something like that, because it had to have been playable from the discs in some way, shape, or form. But I remember that specifically when that game first came out, I was like, man, that's really messed up to have that big of a day one update. And that's where I heard it, that, you know, and it's a rumor, it could be completely wrong, but most of it was just that the game was incomplete at quote-unquote launch, which was them shipping the games out, not the official launch for excuse me, not the official I had a burp there. I'm drinking this energy drink. But not the launch for the fans, but the launch like when they launch it from their studio, when they print the discs, put them in boxes, print the game art, and sending it out to retailers, which happens typically about 2 to 3 weeks before the launch date. And that's for the bigger retailers, like, you know, when I worked at Sears, I thought it was kind of weird, but I guess it makes more sense than anything, is that they get the games probably about, I want to say, anywhere between 2 days to like 3 weeks before the game releases. So the game I'm gonna talk about when it came out with this, I'm not really gonna talk about it. I used to work at Sears, and they had a little video game section, and they had at the time the game coming out was Assassin's Creed 3, and it was sitting in a box on the storeroom floor, opened up right there, and it was probably about 2 weeks before release. That's not the case all the time. I know that with more popular releases, they don't want to put them out there as early. I know that with Grand Theft Auto 4, when I was working next door to a Gamers, I went in there and I just saw the back of the case. They had them like sitting out in piles because they were going to do a midnight release later that night. And I got to, like, you know, hold the game and look at it and read it a little bit early. I didn't get it taken home. I mean, this was like probably 18 hours or so before the midnight release. So it wasn't like, you know, like super early or anything like that. They weren't playing it themselves, at least not on the screen or anything. But I asked him, like, when did you get this box? And he said about 2-3 days ago. So typically these stores, they have the games on hand, and this is the previous Gamers, not the Gamers that is currently here in my town. So I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But after I realized that these guys get their copies a little bit early, and, you know, I'm friends with a couple employees there. I go in there and bullshit with them. So I would just go in and I would buy games before they released, and then I would slip them like $20 extra, and I get it a little bit early. Now, I'm not going to name names because I don't want to get anybody in trouble, because breaking street dates is kind of a big deal. But it kind of also was cool because I was cool about it. I didn't show off. I didn't play it online and ruin it for people. I didn't give away spoilers or anything like that. I really wish I had a YouTube channel back then, because I would have not revealed my source, but I would have been, posting videos, because that kind of gives you a one-up. If you're the first or the best, or, you're better, or you find something interesting about games. That's how you get big views on YouTube, is that you get out there and you have the first video about a new game release. You're going to get the big puff up in views. And unfortunately, most of these bigger channels are the ones that get access to games first. Like, I'm not going to name names or anything like that, but there's like channels out there that are that have maybe like 30,000, 100,000, 300,000 views. Not small numbers by any means, but they got to get the games on release day just like everybody else. And then they got to go home, they got to install the game, they got to shoot the video, they got to edit everything, render it out, then put it online. So they're already at a disadvantage. So it's like a race from when you get it to when you upload it and post it. And usually the first couple few there are the ones that have the biggest views. Now with the bigger channels, they're kind of circumnavigating that, and they're getting around that. They're getting the game a week, 2-3 days before release. So you got this channel that has 15, 20, 30 million plus subscribers. Doesn't need that boost, but it does good for the video game to get it out there, because people are going to watch it. The person that's doing this, that has this big gaming channel, that's playing the game 3 days in advance, they're not going to get past a certain point in that time, because it's all pre-planned. They'll talk to the game developer. They're like, hey, yeah, we'll give you an advanced copy, just don't go past chapter 6 before release day. And the guy will be like, yeah, or girl, they'll be like, yeah, sure, okay, I can do that. How long does it take per chapter? Well, if you mess around and do this and that, it's maybe about 45 minutes to an hour for a chapter. So to a real gamer, it's probably about 30 minutes. So what they do is they talk a lot during it, and they fluff around and mess around with the game and make the chapters last. So that way, by the time they get to part 3, they're only on chapter 4. Game developers say don't go past chapter 6. So chapter 4 gets released, and the game releases to the rest of us that day. And some people just love watching games, or they can't afford them to get them on release day. And that's another thing. Every console generation, it goes up $10. So in 2 console generations, I'm betting probably even the next one, it might go up a little bit more. Right now they're like $70, and that's another thing too, is that The Last of Us Part 1, which is a remake, and they deserve to get money, sure, but they're charging full price, and that's not right. But anyway, back to the bigger channels and releasing the stuff. So these bigger channels, they're promoting the game basically, so that's why they're getting that little extra incentive to get the game a little early. But it comes with certain rules and regulations that the public is not privy to, which is why they get the little incentives that they do. But I think channels that have the 100,000 to 300,000, 50,000, they need those deals from those publishers. Yeah, you may not get as many eyes or as professional as of a review or playthrough or whatever as the guy who has 50 million. Who knows? Maybe you might get a better one, but more than likely you're not going to get as high quality as one or as many eyes on it as you will with someone that has 50 million subscribers. I think it's kind of messed up because you're already giving someone who's got the advantage of having all those viewers, and then you're giving them a further advantage by giving them a game that's worthy of shitloads of views and eyeballs onto it earlier than the person that needs it. And that's kind of like a thing with YouTube, which is why I've kind of taken a step back, and I'm posting maybe like just one video a week, just to kind of take a little bit of a break, because being a smaller channel, you don't get no love from YouTube. You get nothing. They don't give a crap about what you have to post, what you have to say, how you feel. Basically, if you're not monetized, they give zero shits about you. Ugats, nothing. They do not care what you have to say. They don't care what your fans like. You don't get no features, no nothing. Like, I would love to have a community tab, so that way I can keep in better contact with the people who watch. But I don't have 1,000 subscribers, and that's when it unlocks. So that's something that would be great. The one thing that would actually help smaller channels get more numbers is the features that get unlocked at larger numbers, which is really kind of, I don't know, it cuts off a lot of people. It cuts off a lot of creators to their fans, because, excuse me, the fans that might have one social media, you may not have that social media as a creator. Like for me, I'm easier to get a hold of on Facebook. I've had people talk to me on Twitter, but I don't have as much of a presence on Twitter. I don't go on there that much. I don't really know. I'm not used to using it as much as I am with Facebook. So that's kind of another thing that's messing with me, and I'm only just making one video a week because of that, because YouTube's kind of put me on the back burner. That, and for a generation that wants freedom and choices and everything to be inclusive, if you say the word fuck in the first 30 seconds of your video, you're blacklisted. It goes away. Nobody, they bury you at the bottom of the list. Basically, if you have a loyal following, like if you're making them money, if you're that 30 million boy, then you could say whatever the hell you want, unless it causes a big stir and controversy. Then you'll get a little tap on the wrist. But if you're a smaller channel, because it has like an auto closed captioning that it generates for you, so if you trigger that and it says that you said the F word, or I think there's a couple other words, but the most commonly used one is fuck. If you say that in the first 30 seconds, the closed captioning system on YouTube just flags your video. You don't see this, of course. This is all part of the algorithm. This is all part of the plan for the man to keep you down. But what it does is that it just puts you at the bottom of the list, because they don't like foul language, I guess, even though there's worse shit out there. But they want you to be as Disney friendly as possible. So you got these guys that are, they got the 50 million subscribers, and I keep using that number because it's a ridiculous number to get to for anybody, even if you're really super popular. But those guys could basically write their own ticket. I mean, they can get copyright strikes and things like that, but it's not happening as easy as the guys on the lower end of the ladder. And if you're not even on the ladder, and in this case, in this analogy, the ladder is monetization. If you're not even on the monetization, like I said, they don't give a shit. They don't care. They don't care about your happiness. They don't care about your success, because you're not making them money. You're not making yourself any money, but you're not making them any money. For no ads means no paycheck for them. So what they'll do, and they do little sneaky things, like they'll put like an encoding on your video that is of lower quality, So you have to either upscale your video to get that higher quality, or you have to go into your settings and there's a little ticker or a bubble that you can change it to give you the better encoding. So that happens. That's something that they sneakily do, and they also I can't prove it. I looked around other places, but they also seem to crunch down the audio. Like the whole video gets compressed, because you gotta think they're putting up like probably millions of videos onto all these different servers per day. People are uploading constantly, so it's in their best interest to kind of crunch down these videos and get them to fit in a relatively still viewable, still watchable, still good looking format, but size wise, for them to crunch them down, it makes a lot more sense. But let's see, what else did I want to talk about here? Oh yeah, the moving trend of movies and TV shows, and more importantly to us, gaming, is I keep hearing this saying, go woke, go broke. And right now, with the most I guess with the closest released, I can't talk today. With the closest upcoming release being Saints Row, the reboot that's coming out next month. I think actually in less than a month it's coming out. But that had a big controversy when that game first got announced. I mean, everybody was just arguing back and forth. It's it's woke, I don't want to play it. It's transgender and LGBT, it's all that shit. And to me, I'm just like, what I see it as, it's all inclusive. It's not necessarily being woke, it's just including them in the fun, I guess. That's the way I'm looking at it. So I'm not that upset. I'm still gonna buy the game, but I'm more pissed off at the fact that it looks like it's underdeveloped. It sounds like it's underdeveloped. They released a video. I'm actually going to be playing it probably in the background of this. You can go online and watch this, and they even released one on Twitter of a long gameplay portion of this game, and it's just off. I can't really describe it other than that. It's off. Like the audio is in a bubble around the player. It doesn't really track. Like it's really weird. It's like you're only hearing a vehicle that is near you. Like there should be like sounds of traffic, people talking, birds chirping, rattlesnakes rattling. There should be all kinds of like different little noises and subtleties that are going on throughout the map, or at least to make the world feel like it's lived in. And I'm thinking maybe that it's just because it's in alpha or whatever, or beta, whatever the hell the saying is, where it's still in development. So I'm hoping that this is something that's going to be fixed by release, because I'm kind of like an audiophile. I think that's the word I'm using. I hope I'm using the right word. Where I love audio. I have a hearing problem. I have 33% hearing loss. So anytime I can get like a good quality headphones are awesome. Like anytime that there's a little sound feature that I can pick up on, I get like excited about it. And it's really weird to say this to people that don't really get it or don't really care. But when you have like a hearing, I guess it's a disability. I have a 33% hearing loss. But when you have that, taken away from you, that ability to hear, and then you have a feature that's like helpful and it's awesome, it's something that you get excited about. And that's like with 3D audio or Dolby Atmos for me, where you can actually hear things like distant objects and people or creatures that are off in the distance. You can hear it behind you, on either side of you. It's like ultimate surround sound with headphones. That is phenomenal to me. That's something that was so cool. I remember the first game I think I played that had 3D audio was Red Dead Redemption 2, and I had these Dolby Atmos headphones that I put on, and it was like, man, like they had sound cancellation, so I couldn't hear shit outside of the headphones. All I could hear was the game, and it was just like phenomenal. It was just I felt like I was actually there. So sound design is really important to me, very, very important, and this Saints Row game just does not seem to have it. And people were more concerned, like I said, about the wokeness of it. And I guess, I mean, it remains to be seen when it releases. I can't even get the boss factory to work. Like, I'm playing it on PC, and I go to, it says push the A button. I push the A button, nothing happens. I push the B button, and it works. So it's like, I don't know if the game config for the controller configuration, config, same thing. If the controller config was like set up improperly, or if there's a problem on my end or their end, I don't know. So I didn't get a chance to really play around with it and make my own boss. But I'm just gonna wait and I'll play it when it releases in October. I'm still excited about it. Yeah, it has a little bit of a woke thing to it, and look, I have my gripes about, you know, the woke culture, but I'm kind of on my way out demographically. You know what I mean? The games that are releasing now are not made for me. The movies that are releasing now are not made for me. They're made for, you know, 24 to 18 or 15, whatever their ideal demographic is. I'm not a part of it anymore, and that's the way I deal with it. You know, like when I go see a movie and I don't agree with everything that I'm watching, or if I get a video game and it makes me roll my eyes, I try to be understanding more than anything. Like, is it upsetting? Yeah, it is, because and this happened before, and people got to remember that, you know, it was more accepted, I guess, back in the 2000s, because we went from I guess the most thing I could compare this to is, like, all right, so you have, like, I call it like the dark times, like where everything was dark and gritty. That happened in like the early 2000s, like 2000 to 2005, 98 to 2005, let's say, that little era right there. That was kind of the flipping of a generational gap, kind of like we're having right now. Like, we went from colorful Nintendo characters that were jumping up and down and yippee skippy to, you know, Twisted Metal Black. You know what I mean? Like that big of a generational flip. Like, the people that were adult age playing Super Mario Brothers was not the demographic for Twisted Metal Black. Like, kids were playing Super Mario Brothers, and by the time they got to being old enough to play Twisted Metal Black, they were mature enough, and that's what they wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was for them. It wasn't for the people that played the game as an adult, and you know, it's the changing of the times, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And that's what this woke culture is now. It's a changing of the guard, changing of the time. We don't have to like it, because I'm pretty sure the people back in the early 2000s didn't like when everything became dark and gritty. Excuse me. One of the franchises that kind of did this and failed ultimately because of it was Tomb Raider. The first few Tomb Raider games, bright, colorful, exploration, puzzle solving, yada yada yada. And then there's Tomb Raider Dark Angel. And it took that dark turn. And that's what all these franchises did. Twisted Metal did the same thing, like I said before. 1 through 4, you know, they were kind of dark, gritty, and industrial, but they were cartoony. They were fun, they were colorful. And then Twisted Metal Black. You see what I'm saying? Like, there was a steep drop off right there. You know, it went from being haha funny, blow up man and cart, to Twisted Metal Black. I mean, you gotta play the game to understand. It's one of those games that was like, you know, it was out there. It was out there. You know, this is like the generational gap between Fighting Force and Max Payne. Like, beating up people and having little sprites of blood splashing versus drug dealers breaking into your house and killing your family. That's what Max Payne was. That was released during that, you know, dark ages, dark time of the early 2000s. But also, I mean, you did have certain colorful games released at this time, but they had dark themes. Like, for instance, I'm sorry, my nose is like stuffy as shit. But Grand Theft Auto 3 came out in the middle of this. Grand Theft Auto 3 was a dark and gritty game. It made you feel like you were actually in a city on the East Coast. And then, a year after that, Vice City came out, which is arguably one of the most colorful and vibrant Grand Theft Auto games that were ever made. So, I mean, that kind of stuff did still exist and did have success. And that's what this is with the woke stuff, is they're not necessarily completely getting rid of the gaming, you know, character creator and story and all that used to be. They're just including the younger crowd in with the older crowd. You know, like I said, it's still the changing of the guard. It's not going to be a complete changeover, at least not at first. Eventually there's going to be a point where, and this is the kind of the thing that I'm getting kind of depressed about, is that games that I like, that I'm going to be interested in, are going to be a rarity, or they're going to be becoming a rarity. And I guess, you know, things change with the times. Like Fortnite, for example, one of the most popular games that has ever been released in recent history. It didn't start off being a battle royale game. You go back and look at the launch or reveal trailer, it was not the same game that we have today. It grew into something completely different because of fan demand, because people were happy to do this little extra mode, and the extra mode became what the game is popular for. It became what the game is now. Before, it was a single player game. I want to say it was like a storm. Like, there was like some kind of big raging storm, and you had to build your way into surviving it, and there was like monsters and creatures. I can't remember the exact details, but it was way radically different from what it is now, where it's a battle royale game where you're fighting everybody, last man standing style. That was not the original intent of the game. That was just an added feature of the game. And then now it is the game. You know what I'm saying? So things like that happen, where you have this original idea, and then it releases and nobody likes the original idea. They like this mode better. So guess what? Hey, development team changes all their plans, and they make that the side idea. The mini game is now the main idea. I mean, that's the game now. So the changing of the guard, I guess you shouldn't be upset about it, because the people, you know, the gamers and people who watch movies and all that, the older crowd, the millennials, we had our time, and that was in the early 2000s. That's when everything was dark and gritty, and now everything is all inclusive. But the good news is that as of right now, still, all inclusive includes you too. So you just gotta be, I guess, rolling with the punches. You know, you're in a car with old timers, Karens, you know, LGBTQ plus RS. I'm not making a joke. They add a new letter like every year, and I can't keep track. Back in my day, it was LGB. That was it. That was when I was in high school. It was LGB. That was the community. Lesbian, gay, bisexual. Now they have, you know, 3-4 letters meaning the same thing. And I'm not bashing it, I ain't got nothing but love for you sons of bitches, you know that. But, there's a difference between ignorance and hate. Ignorance is just, you don't know. I used to think that ignorant meant like you're rude, but you're not rude. You're just lacking knowledge, and that's what this is right now. I don't have any hatred toward anybody. I don't, distance people because they like someone of the same gender or a different color. I don't know about any of you, but when I got born, I didn't get a fucking option of what gender I was born. I didn't get an option of what skin color I had or hair color. Or I didn't fill out a fucking questionnaire when I was born. I'm just rolling with the punches like everybody else. And so are these people that are in these different communities. So is the guy down the street or the girl next door or the transgender person that lives across the way. Everybody is going through life in their own way, rolling with the punches. And the best thing we could do with each other is to be all inclusive. Just think of everybody as people. That's all it is, man. We're all people. Just respect that. Respect everybody's going through it, just like everybody else. Not everybody's like you. I get that. And maybe it's upsetting to you, but you could do one big thing and just... You don't have to be friends with everybody. You don't have to have everybody in your circle. But just treat people like people. That's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta do. And that's why I'm saying, like, everybody was arguing about this Saints Row, how it was, like, woke and shit. Hey, I'm not really a fan of it, the haircuts and the tight-ass clothing. You got dudes looking like they're wearing women's jeans. Hey, man, I grew up in the 90s. Baggy was the fashion, I never was really that into sagging, but, sagging was a very, big thing fashion-wise back then. But, it's changing of the guard. We're changing generationally, and instead of just shunning what the younger crowds are into, we just need to include them. And I think that's really all they want. I don't think that they want to be the primary my way or the highway kind of thing. That's certainly what not what we wanted back in the day. Like when I liked I keep saying, like, with Twisted Metal Black, it was dark and gritty. I didn't want that to be the norm. I still wanted colorful, playful games. But I thought it was cool that, this franchise that was cartoony is now dark. But I didn't want everything to be like that. And I don't think that this new generation wants every single thing to be like that either. But they kind of get into an echo chamber. And that's the problem too. Is that, you think... So there are groups out there. There are little subsects of extremists in every group. And unfortunately, woke has it as well. And that is that they believe that just because you're ignorant of something, that you're against it. And I'm here to tell you that's not entirely the truth. There are certainly people that don't want to learn anything because they're against it. Sure. But there's also people out there that shit is just moving too fast. We're in our own little bubble. Like, I don't know anything socially about what college-age kids are doing. College-age kids are not even on my radar. I work a 9-to-5 job. I come home on the weekends. I raise my kid. I love my woman. And, that's it. That's my life. I don't really read every article. I don't get involved in politics. I think right now, people are, like, fucking killing me with politics. I go on fucking Facebook, and I have constant updates, posts, news, everything. Everybody is either loving the president or hating the president. Same thing with Trump. I had 4 years of this shit. Now I've had 2 more years with this fucking guy. I don't give a shit. I didn't care about the president back when I was a kid. I don't care about the president now. You know why? Because the president does not give a fuck about me. Why would I give a fuck about him? End all be all. I'm a taxpayer. That's the only reason that the government even gives a shit about me. They don't give 2 fucks about me. I don't give 2 fucks about them. I'm out there to make my money, to raise my family, make sure they're all good. and be happy and fucking retire with a dime in my pocket. That's my goal, is to retire comfortably. That's what I'm out here doing. I don't give a shit about, people's rights. I mean, I care to a point that I think everybody should be happy. I think that everybody should be equal, but I'm not going out here and educating myself on, the grammar of the younger kids. If I offend you, that's kind of a personal problem. I'm sorry that I offended you. I think everybody should be comfortable, but being offended is a personal problem. And this whole cancel culture bullshit of everybody, you say one wrong thing, or you said something wrong 10 fucking years ago, which I don't know about you, but I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. I'm not even the same person I was last week. I'm evolving on a daily basis. Mentally, physically, everybody is. And then you go through, and these people that fucking said shit, celebrities that said shit, years and years ago, they're getting pushed out. They're getting canceled, and it doesn't last very long. There's no such thing as bad publicity, I guess. But at the end of the day, all you're left with is you have a generation, which this is millennials I'm currently talking about, a generation that is unhappy, that doesn't have well-paying jobs. They were kind of pushed into adulthood and given this, attitude of, you're special, you're unique. I didn't have that, thankfully. I'm just a fucking cookie cutter person. I have to make my own uniqueness. I have to be original myself. I can't be a walking participation trophy. I have to be unique in my own way. But unfortunately, this newer generation, the generation that's causing the biggest trend shift, is unhappy. That's the end all be all. And they never will be happy. Even if everything was the way a majority of them want it, they'd still be unhappy. There's even infighting about certain things because certain letters or certain clothing colors or combinations are offensive. It's like everything is offended, and you think because you're offended it gives you power. It doesn't. Being offended is a personal problem, and you should handle that shit personally. If something offends you, yeah, by all means, go ahead and fucking say something about it. But it's not up to the world to change for you. You have to change the world. That's the way it works. That's the way it always has worked. The world does not revolve around you, Sarah. I'm sorry, I probably picked out one person named Sarah that's probably listening to this. But, that's kind of like the Karen equivalent. The world doesn't revolve around Karen. You're not going to give up your parking space for Karen. You shouldn't have to. That can I speak to the manager attitude has become like the rule rather than the exception. You need to be exceptional yourself. You need to rise above all that hatred and bullshit. You need to, not walk into everybody's house and go, that's racist, that's racist, that's sexist, that's sexist, that's racist, that's sexist. Everybody's looking for a fucking argument. Stop arguing. Start living. Go find something that makes you fucking happy. Find something that makes your life enjoyable. And do that thing. Stop trying to look for arguments. Stop trying to be right. Everybody is a walking fucking thesaurus that has Google in their palm, and they think that makes them intelligent in these arguments. It doesn't make you intelligent in an argument. It makes you look like a fucking asshole. Just do the best you can with your life. Enjoy your life. Stop trying to fucking steer everybody else into your way of thinking, because you're not going to succeed. It's never happened in any generation before. It's not going to happen in any generation after. Because you want peace, other people are going to want war. Because you want something to be funny, other people are going to want it to be sad. It's never going to be your way. And it's never, ever going to shake out the way you want it to. It never has happened before. It never will happen in the future. You cannot bend the will of others. That's not the way the world works. Cancel culture is a fucking joke. Everybody who never cared about politics all of a sudden now feels the need to chime in about it. You're not going to change anything. You could argue until you're blue in the fucking face. You're not going to change policy. You're a little tiny screw in the machine, and these motherfuckers are the big cogs and belts that are moving it. You're replaceable. Make yourself unique. Stand out from the crowd. Don't succeed to this bullshit that everything has to be fucking censored, everything has to be toned down, everything has to be prim and proper and politically correct. Fuck it. Offend some people. You're gonna get offended. Deal with it. Some of the best comedy, some of the best stand-up out there that's on the internet, that's on Netflix, that's in video games, some of the best shit out there is offensive. And that's what makes it funny. But this new generation, you can't say anything at all without pissing them off, or in their words, triggering, which I think that's funny as shit. It's like, I don't know. It's like, it's toxic to be masculine if you're a man. It's toxic to be feminine if you're a woman. It's toxic for children to be children. They need to be little genius. I don't know what the fuck the problem is. Everything is in conflict with everything else. And that is the problem. Everybody is so fucked, they don't know which direction they're going. You know, and it's like, you got people now, and if you're an adult and you want to change your sex, go the fuck ahead. Who cares? Who cares? You're an adult, do whatever you want to do. But when you're trying to change the sex and gender and all that shit of a child, you're fucked. You are fucked in the head. Okay? It's weird. We should have no problem, all collectively as society saying, you know what? That's a little bit weird. Wait till they become an adult. When you're 18 years old or 19-year-old in some states, then you can make that choice. Then you could do whatever the fuck you want. If you want to be a dog, if you want to transition into a fucking car, go ahead. But you're an adult. You can do whatever you want. Don't do that shit to kids. Don't try and push your agenda and the world's, or seemingly the world's view onto your children. Because that's how you fuck up. You fuck them up. You fuck them up. When they turn to adults, they become serial killers and psychopaths. That's how you do that shit, right there. That's how you do it. There's literally a textbook of how to create a horror character and fucking with their identity at a child's young age when really they're not even thinking about it. I'm pretty sure it's top 10 on the list. It's one of the top 10 things on the list to fuck up a kid. Let them be a kid. Just let them be a kid. Children are the future, and you are fucking with the future by fucking with them. Simple as that. But anyway, I mean, this whole changing of the guard thing, media is going to do that. Like right now, there's a show on Prime, 2 of them, actually, that are getting controversy. One is The Boys, which is a very good show. I highly suggest you watch it. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's a little bit of controversy about that, but it got snuffed out pretty quickly. But the other one, the one that's more controversial, is a movie or a TV show. I haven't watched it yet. It's called The Terminal List. It's called a right-wing gun fantasy, or right-wing revenge fantasy. It's a fucking action movie. That's all it is. It's because it has guns and explosions and people getting shot and killed by a soldier who's seeking revenge. All of a sudden, it's bad. It's a right-wing revenge fantasy, even though that fucking movie has been made, or the TV show has been made millions of fucking times through different other iterations, like Jason Bourne. It's not a right-wing revenge fantasy, is it? Even though it's pretty much the same fucking thing. All these articles, they're trying to be fucking woke. They're trying to get everybody pissed off and fighting. I don't know what the fuck the point is. Everybody needs to be in an argument all of a sudden. Just live your fucking life. If you like that show, cool. If they made a show about Barney the dinosaur with a fucking a machine gun, and he was shooting ducks at a fucking lake and they would explode like sticks of dynamite, I would fucking laugh my ass off at that show. But everybody else would be offended by it. I don't understand why. It's obviously just a fucking TV show. It's not real. It's fake. It's entertainment. And people are upset about it, that they're like, you can't fucking enjoy anything anymore. If you don't enjoy watching something, there's a simple solution. Don't watch it. Oh man. It's almost like you never had that idea before. And the same thing with video games. If you don't enjoy something, or it's starting to turn into a certain thing that you don't like, don't play it. It's as simple as that. It is as simple as that. You don't need to be triggered by it. You don't need to complain about it. You don't need to change it. You don't need to make it bend to your fucking will. You don't need to cancel it. Just don't fucking enjoy it. Simple as that. Don't watch it. Don't play it. Don't use it. Simple. And I'll tell you one thing that really pissed me off about a franchise that I liked, by the way, which was Terminator. And I believe I talked about this before. Dark Fate. That was the wokest woke movie that ever woke. And it destroyed the franchise. There are certain aspects of that movie I actually enjoyed. There are certain aspects of that movie I enjoyed. I will say that twice, just so you heard me. But overall, there was agendas in that movie. Political agendas that, even right now, if you go back and watch it, have changed. The movie does not hold up to time. And it's only been like 4 years since that movie came out. It's just, it's not good. It's not good. When you're doing things just for the sake of doing them, because you think people will like them, or the most vocal among them will like them, that is called pandering. And it never, ever works. Pandering to the lowest common denominator is fucking suicide for anything that wants to make money. That is why the saying, go woke, go broke, is so prevalent. As soon as you see reviews for like a generation that's older than me, so like Gen X and certain older millennials, as soon as they see anything that says woke in a review or a title or anything like that, or if they even get a hint of it in a trailer or a piece of media, they're immediately turned off by it. And like I said, I'm not. I'll watch it. I'll try to find something to be enjoyable about it. But I mean, for an example for me, is there's a game called Route 96. And I just read a few things. I do that before I play some of these games, just so I know what I'm in for. There's nothing worse than putting your time and effort into something and it's just not worth it for you. It's not really your thing. And I've done that with a few movies before, where I go to movies, and like I said, I just said it, I try to find things that are enjoyable. But if their agenda is propaganda, and they're pandering, and it's so fucking obvious that they're pandering, and that's all they're doing, the movie doesn't have a story to tell, it doesn't have anywhere it's going, it's just pandering for the sake of pandering, I leave. And that's the same thing that happens with some of these games. And from what I'm reading, like I said, I haven't played it myself. I probably won't because of the reviews and the things I've seen. It's a younger person's game. It's for someone who is between the ages of, let's say, currently, of the current year, 15 to 24, 25. Like, that's the demographic that this game was going for. So it's going to have shit that doesn't really appeal to me. It's going to have things in it that are not something that is associated with being ultimately fun in my brain. It's something that's made for someone younger. So I'm not going to enjoy it, so I'm not going to try it. I've heard good things about it, but that's all from people who's the target audience for it. You know, that's their demographic. That's what they were aiming to do, the demographic that they were going for. That's where all the good reviews are coming from. Everyone my age or older is saying that, it's not good. So you get these games now that have reviews, and most of the games that are like on the lower end, like, we'll say out of 5 stars, you get a game that's like 2.5 stars, odds are it's probably a shit game. But these games now that are coming out that have like 4 stars or 3.5 or 3 stars, and you play them, and they're actually good. They're actually good games. They're fun games. They're well put together. They have great sound design, yada, yada, yada. But there's something in there that these younger crowds, they don't like. There's some kind of controversy with them. Someone's wearing the wrong color t-shirt, or they have their hair styled in a certain way that's triggering to these younger people. So they give it a shitty review. And that's what I'm saying. We're in a media transition of the older guard to the new guard. And there's going to be a mixture of shit that's just not really going to work. So that's what Saints Row, and I know I've been talking on that, that was my vehicle for this entire discussion here at the end, is that it's just trying to straddle the line between old guard and new guard. It's trying to please both audiences. And unfortunately, the more vocal of the two, the more target audience is the younger crowd. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to build a franchise. They're rebooting a franchise that was made for the old guard, and they're rebooting it for the new guard. That's basically the end all be all. That's what the goal is of the developer. They're trying to take something that the parents liked and make it so that the kids like it too, and that maybe the parents will come back and play it. So you're not the target audience. That's the end all be all. If you're upset by what you see because you're like, oh, it's woke, I don't want to do it, you're not the target audience. That's the thing. And instead of being upset about it, just go find something you like. That's all you gotta do. You don't have to change everything. You don't have to be pissed off by everything. All you gotta do is find something that you enjoy. Find something you enjoy and do it. Simple as that. You're not gonna change the world for everybody else. Everybody's not gonna see everything the way you do. And that's kind of like with Grand Theft Auto 6, man. Everybody is like clamoring for that game. And I constantly talk about it in these Reset podcasts. But I don't think it's going to be as good as everybody's thinking. Like, I think it's going to be the same thing as Saints Row. It's going to be straddling that line between, generations. It's going to be a little bit of both. And the people from the A side are not going to like the people from the B side shit. And the people on the B side ain't going to like the A side shit. It's just going to happen. There's going to be arguments and bullshit. And what I say here ain't nobody going to really care about. There's probably nobody watching the video into what are we at now? An hour and 8 minutes. I highly doubt everybody's going to be watching this that long. But, yeah, my rambling's pretty much all done. That's my message for this week. Is just go with the punches. Don't try to change. Don't try and change everything and bend it to your will. Cancel culture is a fucking joke. Being triggered is a joke, and being offended is a personal problem that you need to deal with personally. You don't need to make the world pay for it. Find your own way. Just like everybody else. Find your own way. Find what makes you happy. And fucking do it. Simple as that. Don't be chasing the arguments. Don't be chasing the bullshit. Everybody wants to fight everybody. That's not... If that makes you happy, if it makes you happy to fucking argue with people, go get some therapy or something. Go fucking talk to somebody. Argue with them. Look in the mirror and argue to yourself. I don't fucking know what to tell you. But try and find something that makes you happy. And do that. That's my suggestion for the week. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys in this one. Take care. Have a good weekend. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.